Let's talk about the different share levels of permission. I'm going to go in here, and I have shared this document with Brandon, and I can actually transfer ownership of the file to Brandon. I can, in this case, I gave him edit access. You can comment, can view, and let's just talk about these core three here first. The lowest level of sharing is view, and then can comment includes view and can make comments to your file, and then uh, you can edit. Uh, you can give them edit rights, which means that they can view, they can comment, and they can edit. So these permissions that you can set stack on each other. So if you give them edit, they have everything. If you give them just view, then they can't comment. So they do stack on each other. There is also another thing that you need to know about. Let me just open a document that is shared with me. Let's find a Word document that's shared with me. I believe this is going to give me edit rights here. Now, when you're working with a document that is shared with you, you have edit rights, you can actually change what you're doing. You can just change it to where you're just viewing it, you're making suggested changes, or editing it. And so a lot of times I will just make suggestions for changes. So my suggestion comes in there, and the owner of the document can decide whether or not to accept those changes. Most of the time you're kind of going to be doing it like that. So the section that you got rid of is still marked out, and then the suggested changes is in there. That's one thing that I do, especially if somebody has shared a document with me and gave me edit rights, and I'm thinking that they just want me to view and comment. I will change my level to suggesting instead of just editing it. All right. All right, we're talking about the different levels of document permissions. So right now I'm the owner, and I can transfer ownership of this file to Brandon. I really can't comment much on that because that's actually a newer feature and I haven't used it yet. So if you've created a file and you just want to give that file over to somebody, you can say is owner, and that I'm assuming that that's exactly it'll do exactly what it's suggesting there. Another thing down here in this section is there are some further restrictions that you can set up. You can prevent editors from changing access and adding new people. So if I want them to have edit rights, but I don't want them to invite other people in, then that's what I would check. And then you can also disable options to download, print, or copy for commentators and viewers. If that person is an editor, they still have the ability to make a comment, but the ability to make a copy. But for commenters and viewers, you can disable the ability to make a copy. Sometimes you will be sharing stuff with students that you do not want them to make a copy. So these two levels right here, if that's what you've shared with them, then they cannot make their own copy when that's checked. And then the last thing to change is just the general access changed right here. So I can change, we've talked about this one right here, anyone with the link, quite a bit, because that is it's just the simplest way to make sure that when you share somebody, that they're going to be able to open it. So if you click on anyone with a link and then you send them that link, they're going to be able to view your document. And notice that you still have access for anyone. You still have those 3 levels that you can set. And so I can actually give edit rights to anyone with the link. So if I save this, I'm going to copy this. It's already highlighted for me. I'm going to copy that, put it in the chat, and voila, you guys now have in the chat, you have a link to this document, and you could go in and you have full edit rights to the document. Notice also, I'm just going to wait. I'm hoping a couple of you. So there's some people who've clicked in. That looks like Alex and Brandon are now in my document, as well as Deanna, Ardina, Eric. It shows me up here who's in, and it shows me a cursor. I think some of you have opened it up, but you haven't clicked in. It will show me a cursor of who is editing the document and where. And so you can actually, that's one of the cool features about G Suite, is that you can be working on the same document at the same time and not be tripping over each other. It's really super cool. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything. Okay, so I want to talk about these 5 levels here. We talked about these once before, but I want to go into them. And we have 2 levels of on public on the web and on anyone with a link. And those are both very public levels, but public on the web also means that the search engines can index your file, and that is potentially somebody can just do a search on Google and find your document because you've shared it public on the web. Sometimes that's not a bad thing because that's what you want, but that is like the lowest level of sharing. On with anyone with the link is almost exactly the same thing. You just have to send them the link to the file, or they'll not be able to find it. On Show Low Unified School District number 10, that means any staff, faculty, or student that has a Sholo.education account can now, they can find it. They can actually search for it, and it will come up in their search results.
I did the ones upstairs the other day.
All right, and then on anyone in Show Low Unified School District with the link. So this one is on, but you can't just search for it. You got to have that link, or you're never going to be able to find it. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to leave that permission on view and save it again. And so that was this, and I don't have my, I do have my drawing. That's this section right here that I was just changing. And that is what I call your base permissions. And that's basically anybody is going to have the base permissions that you set. And then this is the special permissions. So that overrides the base permissions. So I usually set the base permissions at the least restrictive that is appropriate for that particular document. And then if I need to give additional permissions to someone, I just add them by the name and then set the correct level. All right, so now that we're in it, I want to talk about this set expiration. Yeah, that's what I want. So in 30 days, it has two date ranges that you can choose from by default, 7 days or 30 days, or you can choose a custom date. And I'm going to say Sunday. Well, that's 33 days. Yeah, I was on May. So in 5 days, Brandon is going to lose edit permissions. Did that just disappear? No, it's still there. I think I need to, all right, done. Custom date. Wonder why it's going to May. Oh, okay. So you can only set that for comment and view access only. You can't set that for editors. So I hope that's something that they add in the future. That would be really cool if you could just have the edit permissions also expire after a certain day. That would be just really. So I'm going to save those permissions. Click done. Now, I've been doing all of that in the advanced area. And I have advanced Tourette's because it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I don't do it with this screen. I always go into the advanced area. All right.